I might sound like a broken record, again and again bringing up the plight of the Arab Muslim world. When I say plight, I mean the resolvedness in their current state of being, with an inferiority complex that has been conditioned over many centuries of being subjects of one imperialist or colonialist project after another. But now in modernity, why does this mindset remain? Why do Arab Muslims view themselves as ones who will never succeed in retaining their prominence in a world that is ever-changing and challenging, as they once did many ages ago? So let's look at it. Who progressed while Arab Muslims stood still? Well, Western nations have developed exponentially over the past 2 centuries. Eastern nations like Japan, South Korea, and more recently China and India have also progressed much beyond the Arab Muslim world. Even other non-Arab Muslim nations like Malaysia and Indonesia have rapidly transformed themselves over the past half-century. These nations are the basis for this comparison. These progressed nations today represent political, economic, industrial, technological, or military strength, qualities that don't exemplify any Arab Muslim nation. Not only that, but Arab Muslim nations hunger and depend on those nations and their end results, not necessarily showing any ambition in putting forth the effort in producing such results, but purely in consuming them. This reliance on others is what is depriving Arab Muslim nations of their potential higher position amongst the prosperous nations of the world. Now, before any of you jump the gun and accuse me of wanting Arab Muslim nations to succumb to all that is Western or modern, let me clarify. It's not their ideals, morality, values, or way of life that Arab Muslims want to see become part of their existence, but it's their achievements in superior knowledge and abilities to create, to innovate, and their capacity to translate an idea into a product, initially for their own use and eventually for the use of foreign others. So why do Arab Muslim nations lag? Well, they lag for several reasons. The first of which is concerning the misconception that the practice of Islam is about achieving fulfillment in the hereafter, while worldly life is deprioritized and solely a means to that end. Thus, any struggle towards self-advancement and attempts at prosperity are neglected. I've generated a full video about this topic with a link above, so I'm not going to expand on it too much. The second reason is that the Arab Muslims want the end result without all the hard work, the struggle and sacrifice. Yet actually expect success and prosperity because they simply pray and prostrate themselves to God. Arab Muslims expect and at times take for granted that by solely abiding by Islam's theological requirements, such acts will bring upon them God's help and benevolence on everything else outside of religious duty, both in this world and the next. And if it doesn't happen, then that is fate, written from the very beginnings, and hence yield to their situation. The third reason, and maybe not necessarily the last reason for the lateness of Arab Muslims to progress and prosperity, is the noticeable impact of Islamic conservatism on their thought and discourse, on the priorities, focus, and behavior of societies not only in the last century, but for almost 8, going all the way back to the Abbasid Caliphate, and how the ability to think, analyze, and reform has been restricted to the conservatives, and namely the religious scholars, who have empowered themselves as the police, judge, and jury, in declaring a war on the natural sciences, mathematics, and philosophy, and the arts and industry that stem from these, on the grounds that this knowledge belongs to those outside the faith. In fact, by banning Arab Muslims from the fruits of reason and application of intellect, has in turn resulted in Arab Muslim deprivation and poverty, and clipped their wings. These religious scholars preferring to strictly focus the Arab Muslim world on religious studies and lectures or on the societal behavioral exegesis of do's and don'ts. In this worldly existence, advancement and prosperity are a mandate within Islam. Discovering how the earth works in all its attributes from within and without is a necessary process that will only help Arab Muslims break out from their slumber. If not, then those who will continue their determination and zeal in discovery, attainment of knowledge, and innovation will rise further, while Arab Muslims sink further into the abyss. This state of ignorance and deficient knowledge must end. A priority for education, for the allowance of analysis and questioning of things, for reasoning that replies to the zeitgeist of the times, needs to replace that state of being. Human souls create and innovate, and when humans are put in such a position to produce, they'll transcend their status. Then the modern science, the industry, power, and influence will come, all while remaining true and committed to Islam. Both Islam and modern prosperity and relevance can both cohabitate and coexist. But Arab Muslims must be brave and full of courage. They shouldn't be terrorized by fatwas, religious rulings, or by politicized religion that suppresses the Arab Muslim's mind and body to unlock their potential. Today, it's true, reason and intellect are prisoners in the jails guarded by religious scholars and authoritarian leaders. And with that, Arab Muslims need to show diligence in confronting destructive conservatism, and in opposing conservatism that is emanating from politicized religion intended solely for suppression and control. This is not to advocate that one should overlook conservatism of morality or decency, but that reason must be applied to whether accept such religious conservatism or push back against it, to ascertain whether such shackles of the mind are justified or not. The same vehemence we have in openly accepting the teaching and receiving knowledge of Islamic doctrine must also be applied when engaging with every other element of educational life, be it in STEM or otherwise. Islam is a faith of attaining the best version of humanity, and with it, imperative are education, work, and effort. It is not a faith of surrender or laziness. The thoughts within this video, as much as they are my own, are also not fully my own. They reflect some of the main broad-stroke ideas found within a book written many years ago by an Arab Muslim scholar. In fact, this book I'm highlighting was written almost a century ago, Why Muslims Lagged Behind and Others Progressed, by Shakib Arsalan in 1930. Yet, even with such a passing of time, not much has changed, neither in the situation Arab Muslims find themselves in, nor in the behavior of Arab Muslims themselves. Islam is supposed to be easy on the mind, body, and soul. Life is hard on its own and doesn't need faith to contribute to the strife and struggle, yet it's there to inspire it. And to help fulfill such inspiration and achieve glory in this lifetime, Arab Muslims must recognize the importance of the here and now, must find the determination and industriousness to learn, to challenge, and to work. This is the struggle that needs to be done. And finally, that the human mind and ability to think, reason, analyze, create, and question is a gift from God and an intrinsic element of the Islamic faith.